Zero Lounge. I'm Clyde Lewis. Thank you all for coming out. Let's give IdeoCast.com a big hand for broadcasting us tonight. Very grateful for them, for what they do for us here. And we'd like to thank all those who are listening on the internet tonight, and thank Bill Coons for videotaping this program. Of course, you'll be able to catch it on Google.com, Google Video. It's going to be broadcasting. And it just seems like once the Google video comes up, we end up on Live Leak, we wind up on Yahoo, we wind up everywhere. And it just seems getting the message out, it's just great. We're getting the word out about Ground Zero Lounge. And I think that what you're going to be hearing tonight is something that I kind of got into last week, but I was so caught up in the mysticism that is the mind control and the techniques that the elite are doing to get you to, I guess, fall in line, if you will. Fall in line with the agendas that they've already been preparing, that they've taken many years to prepare. I mean, what we are witnessing now is a tremendous historical event. It's a tremendous historical event because what we are seeing is we're seeing the mass alchemy going on. It is biblical. Somebody said it is biblical. This is biblical. And tonight I'm going to be using some Bible. The reason why is because I have said many times from this stage that the Bible itself is being used as a blueprint for the elites, so that not only, and they're not only using the Bible, but they're using all the other scriptures too, as methods to at least get people to pay attention. I mean, back in the days of Hitler, they used Nostradamus, and they used the Bible. In fact, they would rewrite certain scriptures and certain quatrains in order to make it look as if the Germans were going to win the war. And they were very successful because, using some of the mysticism and belief systems of our forefathers, and using all kinds of different belief systems and aspects get us to fall in line. Using certain numerological sequences get us to think. Numbers are powerful. Words are powerful. And we're going to try to demonstrate that tonight with this program. I call the program Death by a Million Stings, and you'll find out why. Zbigniew Brzezinski is the author of a book that should have been read by every American interested in the future of this country. It's entitled The Technocratic Era, or the Technotronic Era, if you will. It was commissioned by the Club of Rome, and what it is it's literally an open announcement of the manner and methods to be used to control the United States in the future. And some of the things in that book have already taken place. Matter of fact, Brzezinski, speaking for the Committee of 300, said that the United States was moving into an era unlike any of its predecessors, toward a technotronic era that could easily become a dictatorship. A dictatorship that could be forged through the mass mind control, electronic control, and the devaluation of basic needs in society. When I'm talking about basic needs, I'm talking about material needs. I'm talking about spiritual needs. The technologies that exist today are there to force, it's a force multiplier, to get you to change your ideas and your viewpoints and move you in a direction that you wouldn't normally move. I demonstrated a show last week about that. How certain memes, whether they be ancient or religious or what have you, can move your mind and your mentality in a direction that you wouldn't normally go. Maybe you wanted to go that way. But we're going to point out that Mr. Zbigniew Brzezinski was doing, or actually giving, the blueprint for asserting social and political control over the individual so that they will be compelled to obey the puppet masters. It is now possible to assert almost continuous control over every citizen and maintain up-to-date files containing even the most personal details about health, about personal behavior, finances. Every citizen, in addition, can have more customary data provided to the government because of the electronic or the technotronic era. These files are subject to instantaneous retrieval by authorities. Power will gravitate into the hands of those who control the information. our existing institutions will be supplanted by pro-crisis management institutions. How many times have we seen these institutions move in? We've heard of FEMA, Homeland Security, different banking organizations now that are coming to the aid of the international money crisis, the economy. All these agencies have been springing up out of nowhere, here to save the day, including President-elect Barack Obama. Basically came from out of nowhere to save the planet from its doom. Brzezinski, of course, said that this is what was going to happen. He said that our existing institutions will be supplanted by those pro-crisis organizations, and that the task of which will be to identify and advance likely social crises and develop programs to cope with them. Any crisis will be cured. Any crisis will be cured through a new totalitarian rule. This is speaking a man who is speaking about this, a man who is, he's been speaking about this country ever since the times of Jimmy Carter. For those of you who don't know, Brzezinski is a relic of the Cold War. This is change, right? Brzezinski, for those of you that don't know, is actually working with Obama right now. He hated the Russians. He hated the Chinese. He also campaigned for mass mind initiatives that would suppress open society, keeping everyone enslaved by their own greed, their own wants for material gain. How many remember the days of the movie Wall Street, where greed was good? This is from the Brzezinski times. We're getting back to that now. Greed put us where we are now, but they're going to try and get you to be greedy about something else. It's going to be me first, you say. Government first, individual last. That's what we're heading for now. Country first, individual last. All things you do are sacrificial for the state. This is the change that is waiting for you. He advocates, Brzezinski advocates, the Illuminati Committee of 300 agendas that create marked social change. These changes led us into the terrorism we see now. Remember, he said that if he had a chance to make those deals that he did back in the days of Carter and Reagan, he'd do it all again. All those deals brought us people like Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. And here we are now, still in this terror type of attitude, thinking that Obama is going to change it all. We've seen change take place, real change take place in the past 8 years. Think about it. We have changed in the past 8 years. In fact, many of the changes, nearly all the changes that have taken place in the United States over the past 8 years have been driven by the fear of terrorism, which has been routinely exploited by politicians of both parties in pursuit of various objectives. Every candidate has used terrorism as that two-headed baby on a stick that it shakes in front of you and says, this is your future. This is the end. This is what we need to get you to activate. Certain words, certain symbols, certain numbers, certain ideas, certain things trigger you into action. The boogeyman under your bed still exists. The colony that's next door still exists. Everything that you have heard about is real. Zombies make great motivators in graveyards, and they are living right next door to you. It's going to continue as long as it's effective, as long as you believe the hype of it all. Terrorism and terrorists were cited repeatedly. And I've been doing it. I've been putting together sound bites that I want to use for a ground zero continuum. When I get around to making it, I'll figure out what I'm going to do with them. But I have sound bites that repeatedly say, in both the Democratic and the Republican conventions, every candidate has said things about terrorism. Trigger phrase. It keeps Americans in a cloud of anxiety. When you're in a cloud of anxiety, you do a lot of stupid things. We all know this about 9/11, right? When the dust had settled, we were still stuck in that cloud of anxiety, wondering who was going to bring us the people responsible for the attacks of 9/11. And they never did. They gave us theories. They gave us all kinds of different reasons why we should be afraid of those brown-skinned people over there. Never concrete evidence to demonstrate that they really did attack us. All we had was speculation. It is like a psychological injection or inoculation where every time they say 9/11, every time they say terrorist, you feel that sting. That sting going into your arm, that drug, that anxiety. It keeps you in check. That is the method. The revelation of the method is what they call it. Revelation of the method is demonstrating to you the method by which you become completely overtaken by the fear and anxiety of terrorism, the fear and anxiety of losing your material wealth, the fear and anxiety of not being able to feed your families, or to even live like you always dreamed. It's changing. It's changing. Those are the changes. It's been injected into the psyche, and it's there. What we're seeing is, in my opinion, mass monarch trauma-based control programs that have set us up for a master and slave mentality. If we do what the master says, the pain will stop. At least that's what they tell you. If we give the master what he wants, there will be no monsters to destroy our lives. In some respects, many Americans have a dissociative disorder. What this is it's a survival mechanism for pain and trauma. You have two personalities, maybe three, maybe four. You ever notice that sometimes you act a certain way in front of your boss, but you act other ways in front of your friends? You act a certain way in front of other people because you know that if you say something, it will trigger some response that you don't want to deal with, that you don't want to have to cope with. That is a dissociative type of survival mechanism where you have to be on a certain behavior for a certain person because you know that if you do anything to set them off, you're not going to be able to hear the end of it. They've done this with all of the people of the United States. They put them in a dissociative pattern, split them up into different personalities. They have polarized us completely. We can no longer express our true feelings and objective ideas for fear of ridicule, for fear of being called a racist, for fear of being called an anti-Semite. Thought crime is now here. It is a product of this trauma-based mind control. It slipped into our world through things like political correctness and all that other crazy stuff that we have to be on our best behavior for. We have become, many of us have become, passive-aggressive observers rather than people who go in and change things. That's why you see a lot of people not responding to rights and liberties being taken from them because they don't want to upset the apple cart in any way. They're afraid that they'll lose their jobs. They're afraid that they'll lose their family or their relationships because these are the only things they have. When you lose hope, there's nothing else to lose. Because they want to take everything from you. That way, they can make you vulnerable. They can turn you into a victim. That's the purpose, right? You keep stinging you with these barbs and jabs and pain and ghosts and horrors. Enough to make you say, okay, already, I give. Whatever you need for me to do, I will do it. How many people heard during the election I don't care that $700 billion bailout sounds like socialism. I don't care that it sounds like Mussolini fascism. It's change and it's better than George W. Bush. How many people have heard that by applause? A couple of you? I heard it and it made me sick. Because that means that it doesn't matter. That values don't matter. Certain values that we have claimed to don't matter. And the reward, where is it? Where's this reward you're supposed to get for being patriotic, for being behind the Bush administration, for being behind Barack Obama? Where the hell did it get you? Did it get you anywhere? Are you better off now? Now that Obama's in, okay, we had that fuzzy little pink feeling when he got in, but now, where is it now? Where is it? It's not here yet. It's lost. Some people are still living it because, hey, you know, this is their day. It's going to change, though. See, each time Americans are faced with a crisis or fear, we're wounded. You're wounded, whether you know it or not. You're wounded inside, okay? You feel it. You get discouraged. This is why we have ads on television about Zoloft and about Paxil and about how you can't get your dick hard. This is why we have these problems in society. We have performance anxiety with everything we do. From sex to even talking with one another. We're afraid we're going to offend everyone else. Fuck that. Whatever happened to being able to express yourself? It got thrown out with political correctness. It got thrown out with this whole new idea of change. Why the fuck do we continue to believe this bullshit? The psychological state continues to linger even after years of thinking that we've completely healed from the attacks that we have received, and this goes back farther than 9/11. Because remember, in the Clinton administration, we had five terrorist attacks. They were too tiny, and we didn't have the right way of packaging them and marketing them. You can't market Oklahoma City. You can't do it. They had a hard time doing it. Waco, you couldn't market that. Why? A bunch of cult people basically burned themselves to death. Bullshit. You can't market that kind of shit. These people were still trying to figure out what was going on. But when two planes hit two towers and they're representations of something that is holy or something that is sacred, immediately we know that they were after us and they wanted to bring us down. These feelings of fear and anxiety are not going to go away with Barack Obama. No. Why? Because they are tools to keep you in line, goose-stepping with whatever comes forward. This is a headline that I found. It says, transition can be a time of risk, Obama says. Obama is learning that the language of fear is an effective tool in moving things in the direction of those who are in control. Already, Obama is saying we have a risk of transition, terrorist attacks. He's already learning from those before him that yes, this can get people to either rally with you or to fear the future. Hey, this isn't change, people. This is from the book of the Washington Consensus, the Patriot Act, whatever you want to call it, the Bush Doctrine, that Sarah Palin apparently didn't know anything about, which of course they just revealed that somebody within the McCain administration hated Sarah Palin and spread all these horrible rumors about her. It's interesting how things travel in this day, in the day of the technocracy, if you will. Joe Biden even said that Obama will respond decisively to a foreign policy test in his first 6 months. It might even be suggested that the new regime could prove more trigger-happy than the current one. You just look at Obama the wrong way and he'll shoot you. The guy doesn't like to be told that he's a fucking inept asshole. Why? He'll come after you with HR 1955 or whatever the hell it is. That new bill, the don't say anything bad about Obama bill, or the homegrown terrorism, we don't want you to say anything bad about blacks bill, or the don't say anything bad about the Jews bill, or don't say anything bad about Mormons, Catholics, fucking anybody. Because we'll look at it as divisive. We'll come after your ass because if you want to assemble, you can't do it. I have to change my tune. I lose my job ipso facto because I have a fucking opinion. We are lucky, fucking lucky, to be right here, right now, at this time, talking about what is happening. I'm struggling right now just to get some funding to try and get the show back on the air again. And the reason why I'm being met with opposition is people are saying, but what if? What if what? What if you say something to piss someone off? No one wants to throw money at some asshole who wants to agitate. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I was watching every Sunday morning, sometimes I flip through the channels to see if I can find anything to watch from Meet the Press to whatever. I always wind up on the Power Hour for some reason. And I watch the Power Hour occasionally. I know, that sounds weird, but I do. Eat some sort of religious hope in my life, and I don't know. It's kind of an interesting show. But the scripture caught my ear from the book of Thessalonians, actually. It was 1 Thessalonians 5:3. It said, while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. From the good book it says that once we're feeling all safe and secure, someone's going to come and bite us in the ass. Isn't that the case always, right? When we feel like everything's going our way, someone's going to try and screw it up. Murphy's Law. Something's going to fall apart. It just might. Sturgeon's axiom, 95% or 99% of everything is just crap. The language of fear has become so commonplace now, some Americans will do anything outside of their morality to survive. You'll watch this happen. I've got friends right now, actually, someone who I care very much about, who was involved with something that I feel is kind of like cult-like. It's a cult type of thing. And I don't know how to explain that this is going to happen to a lot of us. That there are going to be people that are going to say they have all the answers, and they're going to want to establish a cult or a gathering of people all looking at this one objective, and they're going to want your money because that's how they make their money. They make their money off of telling you that you're worthless. And then they have the answers to make you have more worth. And some of those answers are killing yourself and going and joining the evolutionary level above human with a comet somewhere in space. We've heard about that before. Of course, that happened back in 1997, you know. What's that? Heaven's Gate? Yeah. Back when we thought we were all pretty safe in our thinking. The reason why people are acting this way is because we're hoping the pendulum's going to swing back toward our favor because we felt like we've been so fucked over the past 8 years. And we have. I'm not arguing, okay? But they're hoping the pendulum will swing back into a better way of life with the new president. But the damage is done, people. When it comes to civil liberties being taken away, the pendulum does not swing back. And if anyone, if you have some dumb luck where they decide to give it all back to you, it will take years before they reverse it. That's how it always works. It takes many years. Oh, we were wrong about this. 25 years later. By then you're dead. You don't care. We have set ourselves up to be robbed of not only our freedoms, but of our ability to increase and make money. This is what they mean by sharing the wealth. If there's no wealth to give, then you're all pretty much at equal level, right? 0 is a pretty good number. This is where they're going to put you. They want to put you at 0 and then build you up again for you to fail. I am telling you that what is being forged now is a state system. State system is now in the works that the majority of the citizens of the United States voted for, a system where workers can no longer strike, where the Supreme Court becomes feudal, and private property is limited to the privileged. We voted for it because of perceived class warfare, increased preoccupation with race hatred, religious intolerance, and fear of terrorism. We have had it beaten into us that we have to accept something new, even if it's not healthy for us. Just because we can, yes we can, doesn't mean that we should. Should we? Yes we can, but should we? Should we? Oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll bend over and get it up the ass again another 4 years because, hey, it's American way. Lesser of two evils, right? Evil is evil, and it always will be. Evil is evil and always will be. I have demonstrated the last election was one big psychological psychological operation. It was implemented to keep us off kilter. I talked about that was the Luciferian way to keep things just a little off balance. It thwarted the balance of material and spiritual well-being. We were questioning our logic throughout the whole problems that we were having. We were told that we're unpatriotic. We did not believe in the policies that the president was proposing. And then in the end, everyone's ideas shifted towards Barack Obama. And we're told that if you don't believe what Barack Obama says, you're also non-patriotic. You're a fucking racist. Get with the program. This is change. Come on, you fucking party poopers. Don't fuck my parade. I'm happy. We got a black man. And you know what? Hey, awesome, right? Sends a message to the entire world. We've got a guy who's black, and everybody thinks that racism is dead. Fuck you. No, it's not dead. Just a nice little sheen to keep people from thinking that we're all fucked up in the head. We're all fucked up in the head because we were meant to be. We were programmed that way. It was all conditioned response. You bring a guy in, you set yourself up, you say, God, this is the shit. This is horrible. I want a better person in play. It was a trap to start a new program, one that has been well thought out, taken from the blueprint of self-destruct prophecy. All about self-destruct prophecy. I remember when I was a kid. I know that's a goofy poster. It's good. I'm not a kid there. But I remember when I was a kid. I was told in Sunday school that a big bad man was going to come into the world, and he was called the Antichrist. Okay? And this big bad man would come into the world and force me to take a mark in my hand or my forehead so that I could eat and buy things. Now, I was told that if I refused to participate in this beastly system, that God would provide things for me. That, hey, if I stood by my guns and decided that I didn't want to be a part of this whole beastly mark of the beast thing, that I'd be able to have things given to me and I'd be blessed and all that other stuff. Well, as I got older, I thought that I was smarter than that, and I believed that there would be no possible way that I would have to accept the mark of the beast. But as a joke, I went and I had a tattoo on my arm placed that looked like a UPC code. It was UPC code for spam. I did it as a joke. Because I thought that the whole idea of accepting the mark of the beast and being stung by scorpions and locusts and having my eyes gouged out was just bullshit. It was so ludicrous, I was laughing about it. I thought, this has got to be nuts. Who the hell in their right mind would accept a mark of the beast? People are going to say, that's bad, right? I've seen it. It's the number 666. We don't want a 666 on my head. Then you got all these other wackos, these religious wackos saying, I don't want that. And it gets so crazy that you don't know what to believe. But, of course, there's that scripture in the book of the Apocalypse that says that these scorpions had tails like those of scorpions. They were like these locusts with scorpion tails or whatever. And their tails would injure people for like 5 months. Don't know what that is. But it's some sort of torture, in my opinion. Someone's going to butt the shit out of you for 5 months. It's going to eat at you like scorpions eating at you. And I saw something in a magazine called Adbusters by Sarah Lazar, and it said, if global capitalism is to die, it will be a death of a million stings. And I thought about the bees that I talked about last week. The good little social doobies that do everything that the beehive is supposed to want you to do in order to make socialism work. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty apropos. That we're in a time where, well, in the past, it's been the reinforced mantra that there are no alternatives to free market capitalism. We're the best there is. Capitalism rules the day. However, we're now beginning to see that everything's changed too. There's no alternative to a New World Order intervention to save capitalism from its inevitable tendency towards crisis. And the reason why I say this is because I don't know if you've been reading the news lately, but I've been seeing a lot of interesting things transpiring. Recently, World leaders met at the G20 conference in order to set in motion plans for a new world economic order. They are asking for the end of the dollar as the world reserve currency and the centralization of financial power into an internationalist inner circle of regulators completely above oversight or accountability. Yeah, they're having that meeting. They had that meeting. And here's the headline for those of you that want to pay attention. G20 shaping a new world order. U.S. economic mettle is tested as emboldened leaders from throughout the world gather in Washington to talk about the new world order, the new monetary system. Go ahead.
When they left that meeting, those same leaders, they gave the power to the main person to implement this new order, the new president of the United States, Obama. They named him as the one who is to bring this into being.
That's right. In fact, the International Monetary Fund would be the group that would dictate policies in all states. And IMF orthodoxy is austerity, sacrifice, deregulation, privatization, union busting, wage reductions, free trade, and the race to the bottom, and prohibitions on advanced technologies. The future of the economy, and I talked about this last week, the future of the economy is a global flushing of the banks in order to centralize more. A single currency will be created and participating states would have it distributed to them by private banks. Say goodbye to the dollar. They've already planned on getting rid of it. So they talked about last weekend. The Amero's coming. It is coming. It's been printed and ready to go. And I know a lot of you may think this is all conspiracy theory. They've already announced it. Your dollar is going bye-bye. And your 401k, kiss that goodbye too. Go ahead.
Well, Abraham Lincoln, in a speech 20 years before his president, said if we were to die as a country, we'd only die by suicide. But if we kill the American currency and turn it into a world currency, then we're not dying by suicide. We're dying by...
Yeah, we're dying by dollar sign. we're basically going to flush the economy. We have to in order to survive. It's leveling the playing field. You take a look at Gordon Brown, what he had to say. The New World Order is going to save the earth. We need a new financial order to save the earth. The Brazil, Russia, India, China bloc is reportedly objecting to putting so much power into the hands of the IMF, which is dominated by the U.S. and the British, with Prime Minister Gordon Brown and the Treasury Secretary Paulson of Goldman Sachs laying down the party line for the agenda, which will be the new currency and the new economy. The new Chinese economic measures are the opposite of the bankers' bailouts imposed so far in the wealthier countries. The Chinese will spend $585 billion on infrastructure, transportation, housing, and food production, with special attention to railroads, airports, and roads. The Chinese package is in the spirit of the Franklin Delano Roosevelt New Deal, and it would serve as the alternative plan to the New World Order proposed by the IMF. However, they don't like it. They've changed their minds. Remember I was talking about the Chinese proposal? I thought that was the one they were going to choose. They're saying, no, we don't want that now. Now people are saying, I would rather have the Chinese democracy than the democracy they're proposing. The lesser of two evils, right? The lesser of two evils. That's what we're looking at. The guy in Brazil, the stock exchange in Brazil, took a gun and shot himself today. He sees what's coming. He's frightened. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this coming up in more news stories where people are just going to say, hey, it's over for me. China and Russia are saying they don't want to even deal with the dollar anymore. Fuck the United States and their arrogance. We're doing well with our new plan. Let them suffer because they want to play around with the IMF. And you know what's really weird about that? Always remember what happens when somebody says they don't want to go along with the program. What does that lead to, everybody? What? War. It leads to war. Oh no, we're not going to have war with Obama. No, not at all. No, this is going to be a big war. Big war. If Russia and China and the developing countries come out in an effective opposition, we may see the divided bloc, or what has been written as the Gog and Magog scenario of the apocalypse. The northern countries and the southern countries at war with each other is called Gog and Magog. Christians will have a heyday with this. This will be a huge, huge thing. In this opposing bloc, there will be Middle Eastern countries like Pakistan and Iran that will say, we don't want to play the game. How many times have we heard Obama say Pakistan and Iran are harboring terrorists? If these countries oppose the IMF plans, we could see them becoming the new enemy. This will topple the domino of the apocalyptic war that we've heard about. Specified in Christian books of the Apocalypse, this scenario is being played out not to fulfill a prophecy, but to be used as a floor plan to prepare the world for the great king. A king that is descendant of David, who once slew Goliath. That king will be the king of the world. And there's only two men right now that fit that description. Prince William and Prince Charles claim that they are descendants of the house of David. If you need a reminder about the struggle between democracies and monarchies, the modern-day David and Goliath series will air on NBC this January, called Kings. Notice the MK Ultra monarch symbol that is being used to promote this program. They're using a huge butterfly to remind you of this. We are part of a monarch program. This is what we're seeing right now. It is a huge mass alchemy program to get you to change your mind about monarchies, kings, and magistrates. Prince Charles has a world business forum called One World Enterprises. It comprises of 200 of the world's top corporate leaders and consolidates 26% of the world's wealth. Charles is literally able to steer the environmental, ethics, and business agendas of the world's most powerful multinational companies. The holdings of the House of Windsor constitute enormous wealth, including the Archer Daniels Midland Company, and they are the stockholders of controlling interest, which controls 75% of the world's grain. That means that if they decide that you don't eat, you don't eat. They can control whether countries starve or whether they eat. This is where we found ourselves. They control everything. The European and the American Union coming together, we're looking at the Red Dragon of Wales, the heralding beast. I am sure, this is what Prince Charles says, I'm sure that many people consider that the United Kingdom is an ideal geographical historical position to act as an interpreter, mediator between the United States and Europe. It's the centralized location, and now it has all of the wealth of the world. The United States is no longer in a position to dictate what the rest of the world will do or must do. All power and money has been relocated to the United Kingdom. The Washington Consensus has collapsed, and now the United States has become a military wonderkind that has been forced to be directed by the global consensus. We are no longer a financial superpower in the world. We are no longer that anymore. Now, as the United States falls, so does the entire planet. The crisis is global, and there's now reason to create a global government that runs checks and balances on all banks in all countries. The implementation of new measures are inevitable. The global currency is being created and is ready to be distributed. This is a global concern, and as you will witness in the near future, leaders will act as kings and magistrates. They will be able to direct where the money goes and who gets the money. This is called spreading the wealth, people. You've heard Obama say spreading the wealth. This is exactly what it is. The International Monetary Fund will require the credit rating agencies to be registered and monitored to submit to rules of governance. They will hold the principles of convergence of accounting standards and re-examine the application of fair market value rule in the financial field so as to improve its coherence with the rules of prudence and conservatism. They will resolve that no market, segment, territory, or financial institution shall escape from proportionate and adequate regulation or at least surveillance. That means that everything you do, every money transaction you make, will be accounted for. And they will make sure that you don't get what you don't deserve, in their opinion. They will set up a code of conduct to avoid excessive risk-taking in the financial industry, including in the area of compensation. Supervisors will have to follow this code in evaluating the risk of profiles of financial institutions, to entrust to the IMF the primary responsibility, along with the FSF, which is the Financial Stability Forum, to recommend the necessary measures to restore confidence and stability. The IMF must be equipped with essential resources and suitable instruments to support countries in difficulty and to exert its role as a macroeconomic surveillance to the fullest. How are they going to enforce macro surveillance, macroeconomic surveillance? They will have to somehow chip every single one of you in order to have security measures happen the way they see them. This is what is inevitable. You will have to have a chip placed in you that has the information that they're looking for. Go ahead.
So you're talking about the elimination of cash
Eventually, yes.
as a basis of transaction.
Eventually, everything will be digital. It will not be anything in your pockets. You will have digital, and they can stop digital, and they can give you digital whenever they feel the need to do so. This is the future, people. It may not sound like something you're into now, but this is where it's going. Go ahead, Fred.
Do you really believe
Get on the microphone. Right on the mic.
Do you really believe that our legal tender will be replaced with plastic?
Yes, I do. I really do. After hearing what the G20 was talking about, yes, I do. And as Bob had said, the Obama administration will play a big role in reinventing the international system, especially on the financial side, in strong partnership with the European Union. That was discussed, and it will follow through eventually. There has been a swirl of propaganda coinciding with the monetary merger of the European Union and other countries. One popular poster in particular demonstrates the rebuilding of the Mystery of Babylon, or the Great Tower of Babel. It speaks in many tongues that are speaking in one voice. The globalism has already begun. We're only beginning to join with our new global Lord and Savior, Mr. Barack Obama. He is the one that's going to be leading us into the new financial order. Go ahead.
Not that I'm doubting Mr. Lewis here, but keep in mind that if things do in fact go to a card, and if things in fact do go to a digital sort of realm, keep in mind that whenever they build a bigger mousetrap, there's always people who are able to defeat it. There will be people out there who hack into the system, so remember, support your local hackers.
I want to talk a little bit quickly about the Corona Stellarum Duodecim. In fact, it's the crown of stars. It's the 12 stars that surround the flag of the European Union. They came right out and said what it represents. The same thing I've been telling people. It represents the crown of stars on the woman of Babylon, or the woman that stands on the moon. We've talked about it before. And the tower that they built, the new EU tower, the EU offices, is supposed to be a representation of the new Tower of Babel. They've come right out and said it blatantly. This is what they're representing, people, the new Babylon. They want to create the new Babylon and a new Babylonian type of system. Take a look at, I managed to put together some slides here of how the Tower of Babel and the Tower in Strasbourg look all exactly the same. I managed to bring them together like that. And then, of course, you take a look at the Corona Stellarum Duodecim, and you have Princess Diana dancing on the moon. You have the woman of Babylon dancing on the moon and the Statue of Liberty, all the same thing. Why is it when they bury Princess Diana, they put the tower, the torch? Because she's a representation of that very thing. The very representation of what's in the Revelation, book of Revelation, chapter 12. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Moving forward, and she being with child, cried travailing in birth, and pain and to be delivered. There appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon. The dragon shall rear the child, and shall become a great beast, and create a system of government with new currency. Take a look at that. That is the dragon, that is the entrance to the city of London. What have they said? London's a great place to put all of our money? Of course it is. It's the place where the great beast will reside. And no man might buy, sell, or say that he have the mark of the beast, and the name of the beast, or the number of his name on their bodies. Don't know what that's going to be. There was a lawsuit to the Bush administration. A bunch of farmers didn't want to put RFID tags in their livestock. The Bush administration dissolved, or actually decided that they dismissed the lawsuit. They said that it was frivolous. They're talking about a global authority that will now change all of our financial ways. There will be a global financial system, probably the IMF, that will control how we spend. It'll be a global currency, not a national currency. Remember what it says about New World Order or OneWorld.com, a world without borders, a currency without borders, or a business without borders. Gordon Brown, who is the Prime Minister of England, has called for the election of Barack Obama to be the starting point of a truly global society where nations will work together rather than being frozen by events such as the current financial crisis. Yes, Fred?
How many Supreme Court justices are up for retirement right now? How do you feel this is going to affect what you're talking about?
They will eliminate the Supreme Court because the state will be the Supreme Court. They won't need it. Baron David D. Rothschild sees a new world order in global banking governance. This is another story that came out. These are all stories that have come out since the G20. We provide advice on both sides of the balance sheet, and we do it globally. There is no debate that Rothschild is a Jewish family, but we are proud to be in this region. However, it takes time to develop a global footprint. Banks will deleverage, and there will be a new form of global governance. This is all planned out. Single global currency urges G20 to initiate research and planning for single global currency. I don't know how long that will take to implement, but they are ready to do it now. That is all from financial papers that I've gathered over the last week. Go ahead.
Just a quick statement about the IMF. The IMF is a completely undemocratic organization wherein you buy your votes. So it's all about the more power you have, the more you're able to control things.
Right, look where we're at now with money.
People losing their jobs, people not having enough money to pay the bills. We need to realize we're all in this together, right? So if you're going to start demanding money of people, always remember, have a little bit of empathy, because you may be the very same person who doesn't have any cash. It's a Luciferian system in dry dock. It's something that's going to keep you from making decisions, because it keep you off kilter. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? And when you cast your vote this last election, you probably voted for someone that was compromised by the betrayal that took place with a $700 billion bailout. And I pointed that to you as well, but yet we still worked forward with it. We decided we didn't want to object to it. Someone who robbed from the poor to remain rich. That's what they did. They robbed the poor to stay rich. The worst or the lesser of two evils did not apply here, and I told you it didn't. Something that the people counted on that were in power is that you would not know and that everything would be changed, because they were doing a good job of programming you to think the change was happening. This is something that was voted, allegedly, by the people, for the people, or it was planned as an illusion to get people to accept the new global government, and that's what we're heading for. We've talked about this many times, and it's finally becoming a reality. Everything is permitted by those who have control over the money. There is no doubt as to who is more powerful. Whomever the banks decide to fund, that is more powerful. Whomever decides to play their game. There is a money trail for every war, election, and terrorist attack. There's also money set aside to fortify saviors and gods. Yes, the strange money that went to Barack Obama came from other countries. The monies that came to fortify 9/11 to make that happen came from other countries. To level the playing field for this very crisis we are in right now. And I've said it from the beginning. 9/11 was bringing down the towers of commerce to demonstrate that we are no longer powerful and that we will level the playing field to create the global new world order. Simple as that. Simple as that. Take a look at the sign. It says, "To God be the glory, great things He has done. Obama, thy kingdom come, thy will be done." That is on a Barack Obama election office. Outside. Barack Obama has been asked to join with the agenda, and I am sure his position as Messiah can be tarnished with whatever dirt they can turn up if he ever decides to have a heart and truly be a hero and reveal what is really going on. As they say, the revolutionary ideas are stronger than bullets. However, we also know that sometimes when he buys bullets for enforcing stupid ideas, like killing Obama. Bad idea. It will only reinforce the resolve. So we have to ride this through, and we have to put out of our minds this bullshit about wanting to off this guy. Let him do his job. Let him do what he needs to do. He may surprise us. But, of course, we have a lot of morons out there that have decided to threaten him. I want to read you some of these. These are some really good doozies. Ready? Threats against the new president historically spike right after an election, but from Maine to Idaho, law enforcement officials are seeing more against Barack Obama than ever before. The Secret Service would not comment or provide the number of cases that they are investigating, but since November 4th, law enforcement officials have seen more potentially threatening writings, internet postings, and other activity directed at Obama that has never been seen with any past president-elect, say officials. Earlier this week, the Secret Service looked into a case of a sign posted on a tree in Bay, Idaho, with Obama's name and the offer of a free public hanging. In North Carolina, civil rights officials complained of threatening racist graffiti targeting Obama found in a tunnel near the North Carolina State University campus. And in Maine, a convenience store, Associated Press reporter saw a sign inviting customers to join a betting pool on when Obama might fall victim to an assassin's bullets. People are betting money and putting a date as to when he's going to get shot. How gross is that? It's horrible. Because, I mean, if you think it, it can be enacted upon. You can manifest whatever horrible things you want to have happen, but you know, we asked for this. We wanted this. That's the point. Quick.
Yeah, this amendment is running through the society at large. I have a guy I'm working the other night, and some guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, have you heard this joke? what do Kennedy, Lincoln, and Obama have in common? I say, what? Nothing yet.
Oh.
Isn't that a disgusting joke?
It's horrible.
And that's just a common thing going through the society now.
Well, but the meme has been set, and it's the fear that we all have, and it's something that you know will happen as long as we continue to think this. And that's the thing, is that let him do his job. I mean, he's been appointed to do this because this is what, and I'm thinking that he's probably being this round peg being forced into a square hole, because I think that he meant well, but you have a lot of people who are saying, do this, do that, do this, do that. He doesn't know where to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, are you aware of the first electrified city and school system in America?
No.
It was in Idaho, Rupert, to be exact.
Right. Idaho seems to be one of those places. It's the first, I was coming here. Idaho was the first place I saw Schwarzenegger in the toilet. Follow the money. That's the whole thing that you need to do here. You need to remember where the money's going and who's funding what and who's funding who.
Did you blush?
What?
Did you blush?
No, I didn't. I believe that the banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies, according to Thomas Jefferson. If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around the banks will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom its property belongs. That's our founding fathers speaking right there. Real power, Pat Buchanan says, real power in America belongs to the world banking cartels. Americans no longer retain full sovereignty. Instead, the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, World Court, and World Trade Organization make the key decisions in government. American taxpayers are the designated fall guys of the New World Order. Pat Buchanan said that. Henry Ford said, it is well that the people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. That's why they don't teach you economics, because if they did, you'd probably revolt. The New World Order is not some prophetically speculative or futuristic fairy tale. It is a real-world reality. It is not some wacko conspiracy theory. I hear people say, oh, he's just a conspiracy theorist. We don't need to listen to him. It is now a blatant and fully reported idea and will be implemented because we, the people, demanded change. As I had said many times, this change was a projection of what each individual needed and what they wanted. It was an interpretation. What is really happening, we can't reverse. It's been programmed as our only hope. It has been a long time in the making, this whole New World Order. Its pieces fitting into places from divergent realms and different players. Gears and levers of history have been moved and adjusted, and a large-scale game of cognitive dissonance has been played. Using real nightmare scenarios, using real currency and real assets shifting hands, a game with very real winners and losers. It has now arrived, and many people will be psychologically bruised when the change does not fit their expectations. The world monetary establishments have organized a government that will bring forth a monarch that will unite all peoples with an ecumenical religious government. The goal is nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole. There will distribute shelter, food, and water to whom they feel should receive it. This is what a lot of people will see as the beast system, or the Great 666, and people are seeing it now. They are realizing that the trauma-based terror that has been happening, the programming, the removal of the rewards that we're supposed to be getting for going through this, they're realizing that the beast system of trauma, New World Order programming is a utopian lie. There are many people that way. They feel like they can't do anything about it. It is a result of years of nightmare fear, the continuous programming of inadequacy. We have been told that we don't measure up. We're too fat, we're too thin, we're too ugly. We can't seem to get anything right. One thing we can do, though, is we can starve right. We can starve, everybody can starve, it's pretty easy to do. We can beg, it's pretty easy to do. And we can die, that's pretty easy to do as well. That is what the system is meant to do. keep you on the brink of starvation so that you'll be motivated enough to do whatever it takes to sustain your life. All you have to do is accept a mark, and that is the program of victimhood. That is the mark that you will wear. The 666 number is nothing more than a sign of the times. It is there to trigger you into thinking that all is falling apart. It is mystical and it is controlled by the trickster, as I pointed out many times. On November 5th, 2008, on the day that Barack Obama, the senator from Illinois, was elected president of the Illinois state, their winning pick 3 lottery numbers were 666. Yes, it's true. But here's something else you didn't know about this. 666 was also drawn on the following days. 1/16/2007, 3/22/2008, 10/23/2008. Here we go, people. This is funny. Ready? On 1/16/2007, guess what happened? Barack Obama announced his presidency. 666 was drawn in the Illinois State Lottery on that day. On 3/22/2008, Bill Richardson was in Portland and endorsed Barack Obama as President of the United States. The nail that went into Hillary Clinton's coffin basically put her out of business. That number, 666, was drawn on the Illinois State Lottery. On 10/23/2008, the New York Times endorsed Barack Obama as President of the United States. 666 was drawn in a 3-pick in the Illinois State Lottery. Yeah, you don't believe the trickster exists? He does, and he's playing with us all. You know, I guess you can find meaning and meaningful significance anywhere if you just look and recognize the sting of powerful programming. Take a look at those posters, people. Isn't that interesting? We're buying it hook, line, and sinker without even fighting for anything else. I've shown you the videos of the children singing, the socialist ideals, the bees. I've demonstrated it all to you. It has nothing to do with my political affiliation. It has everything to do with my political knowledge. My political science knowledge. Stuff that I learned on my own. Not from any school, but from what I learned from reading my own literature. Stuff that my father taught me. Stuff that I learned on my own. It's obvious. Is it not, by applause? You see it? Go ahead.
But you forgot to mention the last thing, that 666 and a lottery should come out 1 in 1,000 times, which would take 3 years, and it happened 3 times.
Yeah.
607.
Yeah.
It's unusual.
It's unusual, isn't it? Now we know what numbers to pick, right? Whenever you get something big, 666. Illinois Lottery.
You gotta know the day before.
What?
It is change we can believe in, because believe it, people, it's coming, it's challenging, and it's going to be different for all of us. Every single person is going to feel the death of 1,000 or 1,000,000 stings. That is what they've told you. Every time it hits you, it's going to sting, and every time what doesn't kill you is going to make you stronger, and you're going to have to be strong. And you know, I'm afraid. I'm afraid because of what I do and what I say. And someone out there, and they've done it before, has misinterpreted what I say and do and think that I'm this way or that way, and they'll make their decisions, and somebody cold cocks you when you're sitting in a bar. Other people don't want to help you when you're struggling because they don't see any value in what you do. And the thing is, if you don't value something, it's going to go away. And I'm not doing this, I'm retiring bullshit, because I'm going to keep screaming until I die. Hell, I got up on stage after I had my surgeries. I was carried on stage with stitches in my gut after my surgeries, which, by the way, a year ago, I went in for surgery and I survived. I'm very happy about that. Because I'm here now to give you the information. Yeah. So, yes, Bob.
I was just going to say we should all pool our money and send someone to Illinois on Inauguration Day.
That's a good idea. We should do that. It's a great idea. Are there any more questions or any more comments about what we've covered so far? Anything? Nothing?
You covered it all.
I hope I did. I hope I covered it all. We are, and I'm going to tell you now, we are speeding this process. The process is speeding to their direction, not yours, and you're going to have to do what they want. I may be jumping the gun here. I may be giving you this information that may not implement for another 6 months to a year, but it just seems like everything is speeding out of control. And someone needs to be satisfied. Someone needs to feel like they're getting their payoff. Somebody needs to feel like they're getting blessed with something. Share the wealth. Yes, that's right. Share the wealth. But you know what? Not everybody's going to be happy with the piece they're getting. Somebody always wants the biggest piece when it comes to grabbing the roll at Thanksgiving. Somebody wants the biggest drumstick or the biggest turkey leg. They want that. They don't get it, they pout or they scream or they cry. And it's going to be the same way with governments. When money is the issue, the IMF, the World Banks, when they decide they're going to finance a war, they finance it big. I don't want to say World War III, but it's looking very close to it now. It's obvious. Remember I said to you that when Katrina happened, I said, you don't think that this storm and this tidal wave in Indonesia, you don't think that these horrible disasters that are hitting us now are not going to have the repercussions in our economy. They will, and they have. We are struggling. But we need to rely on each other to find ways to overcome the losses. And if it just means that we have to visit each other every once in a while, if it means that we need to buy someone a cup of coffee every once in a while, remember those old songs, buddy, can you spare a dime? We're going to be back to that pretty damn soon. And pretty soon there's going to be competition for all the homeless guys standing around in downtown Portland. And there are going to be people who are going to be more creative to get that cash from.
Yep, there it is.
It's going to happen. Anyway, I thank you all for coming out tonight. You want to say something else before we go?
I just have a quick question. I think it should be a contest we should put out for everybody and find out what's going to be the new PC term for bread lines here in the next few months. Because we all know, and they're not going to call it bread lines. That has too much baggage associated with it. They're going to call it something else. Then I think we should have like a contest to see what are they
Food distribution centers.
Yeah, it's going to be something really sterile and unpretentious.
Freedom lines, victory lines.
Victory lines.
Victory line, everybody, victory lines. Woo! Victory lines. What?
And the symbol's going to be like this. It's
right on.
Yeah, go here, go here.
Remember what George Carlin says, if you're flipping the peace sign, you're jerking off. I'm Clyde Lewis with the Ground Zero Lounge. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Whose picture is going to be on the barrel on the first bill?